All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. This is On the Grind. I'm your host, Chirag T. Patel, and the T is very important. We are broadcasting live. Did I say live? Live from Atlanta Tech Village. This is the fourth biggest startup hub in America. This episode is brought to you by Startup Development Institute. If you are looking for mobile app development, need funding for your project, please go to startupdevelopmentinstitute.com. This live stream is brought to you by DariusHill.com. If you're looking for video production, video editing needs, or if you're looking to live stream your company, your brand, please go to DariusHill.com. All right, folks, today we've got an awesome and very unique entrepreneur in the building. I'm very excited to have her here. She has won many awards. I could say she has built a very cool brand. She's got over 40 locations, over 12 states. I'd like to introduce to you the founder of Fabric, Dana Spinola.
You said it right.
Yes.
Fabric.
How are you doing, Dan?
Yeah, thanks
Welcome
for having
to the show.
me.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. I'm glad you came out today. And, thank you for your time, for being here. What I wanted to kind of start out with is right now we're in this cool era of entrepreneurship. And, I feel like a lot of people are kind of slapping that name around, got a LinkedIn profile, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, co-founder, founder, but a lot of people don't understand how hard that job is, right? I feel like it's one of the most stressful jobs on the planet. It's 7 days a week, 20 hours, especially in the beginning when you're trying to scale it and be profitable. So, but with you executed, you did it, you're here. And before we get into the story of Fabric, I want to kind of get to know you a little bit. And if you could tell us a little bit, where you're from, where'd you grow up, and what you were like as a young lady.
Yeah, I was an intense young lady. I grew up, my parents were hippies, artists, and they just lived the life of, if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. So I was an entrepreneur by blood. I grew up here in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I just always knew that I would end up doing my own thing.
So what'd your parents do?
They're literally artists. My dad is an artist. My mom's now a designer, but they were just the hippies in the way of, we didn't have any money. It wasn't about profit. It was just about living your dream. So that was really instilled in me, the dream piece. But what really I didn't understand was the hustle, that you have to put those two together. You can have a dream, but if you're not executing on it, the profit piece. So when I went to school, it was for business to make sure that these dreams can actually become reality. When you
were growing up and you were around your parents, did you do anything entrepreneurial when you were young? Did you start businesses, the lemonade stand people out type of thing?
Oh yeah, I mean I did everything. I played every single sport, and I was always, I started a message in a bottle company. So people would write notes and I'd roll them up, put them in bottles and mail them off to people. I mean I had every company at Hallmark, and when I was 8, I was writing cards for them and submitting editors. I wanted every job. I'm the person, I'm dream big. Why in the world would you not chase after it? And I'm fine with a no. I'm just not fine with not trying.
Yeah. So how did you because a lot of people kind of have the typical path, right? You go to college, you get the degree, you work in corporate America. Yeah. Did you take that path? Did you work in corporate America, or did you start this company right after college?
I did that path. Again, my parents didn't go to college, so I was I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get understanding. I wanted to create a network and create business. It was important to me that I learned not only the creative side of what I wanted to do, but the business side. So I walked in the first day of college. I'm what job is going to make me a lot of money? I didn't have money, and I'm maybe that'll answer all my problems. Learn later that it doesn't, but that's what I went. And so I worked for Deloitte Consulting. I was a computer nerd and still kind of am, but just loved the business side. So I was a consultant around the nation and had places all over and thought I was living the life, but kind of hit that point where I'm okay, now I want to go back to my passion, which was always clothing and fashion.
So when you were a consultant, you traveled a lot?
100%.
All the time, right? So the consultant life. Did you come to a crossroads where you're like, man, getting out of bed and you hated the job?
Yeah. You know it, that feeling on Sunday, packing again. I didn't know if my shoes were in San Francisco or Chicago. I had apartments everywhere, and it sounds so glamorous. I get that. It's not. I wanted to go to dinner with my friends on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
My bigger problem was I have this idea that I want to have it all. And so I started interviewing women in my firm and didn't really find any women who had a family and a career, and I wanted a huge family, and I wanted a really cool career. That was my passion. So I kind of had to pull back corporate world and start from scratch.
Very interesting. So you had that idea, right? The passion. Like, did you know you wanted to be a designer? Or
yes, but I didn't know it was a real job. I think
Okay.
a lot of entrepreneurs, don't know if what they want to do is actually a real job. Like
Right.
then there wasn't fashion merchandising in college. You
Yeah.
couldn't take that as a class. So I was really kind of paving the way of, I'm going to quit. When you call your tube hippie, they've got long hair parents, and you say, I'm going to quit this job, this
Yeah.
6-figure job, to go and start one little boutique. They're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, we've got a good thing going here. They
Yeah.
wanted me to follow my dream, but they also, the security gets a little addicting in the corporate world.
What took you where, like, you know what, I'm quitting today, and then let's go start on fabric?
Yeah. This is this part of the story that I would love to tell differently.
Well, actually, you know what? Let's start from the beginning then.
Okay.
I want to know the entire fabric story from
Okay.
the time you had the idea till where you got till today. The
Okay.
entire story.
Yeah, I'll tell it to you.
All right,
yeah,
let's
and
go.
stop me where you want to hear more
Okay.
or less. But the crazy part, it starts with a breakup. Like, literally that idea of long-term boyfriend, it's my birthday, I'm supposed to move to New York, we're supposed to get married, it's all, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when we talk about the story, it's usually like a piece in life where you're like, this is not going how I thought it was
Right.
going to go. So called, hey, flying to New York, going to be there in a couple weeks, moving up there, and basically girl answers, the whole dramatic everything, just
Yeah.
like, well, this is going to stop, and my future was kind of crumbled. I had to figure out, what do I want this to look like? So took online tests, like, what am I going to be? I knew it was something in fashion. Finally, boutique owner, like, knew it was going to happen. So that was in June, in 2002. In August 1st, I woke up that morning, I started my business plan, I went downtown to get incorporated. And I know that means nothing when you have no location, but for me
That
and
was
a
a big
lot of
step.
people, you need
Yeah.
to just do something.
You did the LLC.
Line in the sand,
Yeah.
right? And that night went out to celebrate, and this is where I knew what a good day, started a company, and that night met my husband. I looked across the room and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna marry that guy. Walked right up and said, this is gonna sound crazy.
Close the deal.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna marry you. And he was like, all right, well, I like your confidence. And he is my husband now, the greatest man in the world. But really good day, kind of validating company and husband, but kind of shows my intense
That's a true
personality.
story?
True story. That's
Where were
how
we
we got
sitting
him.
at?
We were in a bar in Buckhead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, like, because I really wasn't in the
That's
mood
kinda
for
cool.
a husband.
Yeah.
I just broken up with a crappy boyfriend, so I'm like, and here we go, and it's gonna sound crazy, and it did, and but it's the whole story of just jumping into what it is. So I opened my first store, and there's so much detail. It took 1 year. I wrote a business plan. I was working 70, 80-hour weeks on my other job,
Right.
and decided, okay, I'm going to create this plan and answer all those
So
tough
you're doing
questions.
both. You're doing Deloitte.
both.
Now you got the idea. You're trying to scale it. Get the beginning pieces together.
Get some money.
So, right.
Get someone to believe in it, because most people are like, you have such a good gig in where you are now. Why? And when your heart hooks into something, you've got entrepreneurial blood, you're going to be pulled to it, and I'm always like, go. Everyone I talk to, I say go. So, I knew I was going to end up
Yeah.
there, and so I wrote the plan, and it's that work till 9, come home, work till 2 on the plan, and you just can't wait, get back up at 6, and then 9, like, can't wait to get back in
snuck
there.
in a couple hours at work there, right?
Yeah, well, you know what else I snuck in? I started working in a boutique on the weekends. So I'm
Okay.
working 80-hour just, travel weeks, and I'm working for $7 an hour at a boutique just to make sure that this is the new life I want to live.
So, just kind of educate me, right?
Yeah.
boutique versus being an actual design, like, like retail, I guess.
Right.
What's the difference?
Yeah, so at a boutique, you usually have hundreds of vendors that you buy from.
Okay.
When you're a designer, you create the entire line from scratch.
Gotcha.
So we'll buy like Hudson jeans or Seven jeans or other jeans from other manufacturers. But just because I'm a serial entrepreneur, I also started our own clothing line too. So I'll tell you about that in a little bit. So we kind of have a combination, but usually it's like you're curating the lines you love the most to create, to put in your boutique.
Okay, so you're working Deloitte, you're doing this, then what?
And then I gave myself August 1st the next year. I'm like, I will open this store, no matter what. So sent the business plan to everyone I knew to just rip it apart. Like if you said you liked it, I'd say, I'm sending it back to you. Like I don't want to hear what you like about it. I want you to rip it apart.
Right.
And took it to 14 banks who just like laughed. I mean, they're like, it's a boutique. That's like a restaurant. Like we're not investing in you and you don't have any really collateral.
Or any credentials.
Yeah,
like,
who are
you're
you?
just a person that has this dream.
Yeah.
Came to the bank, trying to...
Another girl wanting to open a boutique
Yeah.
is basically what they all said until the end. And this is where I always think about when you leverage your own network. I mean, I finally am talking to my dad. I'm like, I mean, could this really not happen? There's no chance of this not happening. He's like, well, I play tennis with this guy and think he has a bank. I'm like, call him. Are you kidding me, Dad? I've been at like Bank of America. I've been doing this. He's like, I don't know, So sat down with this banker and he was like, tell me why you're going to be unique. And this is the question I ask every entrepreneur. Like, sure, you've got a great app. Awesome. Why is it unique? And so I had to nail that question home. Like he sent me back. Finally, he was like, what was unique about my business at that time is I said, you're going to have experience like Neiman Marcus, but everything's going to be under 100. And it just hadn't happened that you're going to be offered champagne and we're going to walk your bags to your car and we're going to, bring dresses to your house and all of this for free, right? And he was like, I don't think that doesn't exist. I'm like, but it will. And so he was like, let's do it. Let's give it a shot, and gave me a $70,000 line of credit.
So I'm sure he is very, very happy right now.
Yeah, we talk a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I shout him out all the time. I love that they took a chance because it was a risk.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you're an entrepreneur, you got to make sure that you can convince someone why the heck they're going to take a risk.
So you raised the money, you quit your job a year later, right?
Yeah.
Where's your first location at?
It's in Midtown. The Northside Hospital actually just bought it and tore it down, so we relocated it to Atlantic Station. So that was kind of the first store.
And what year did that open?
2002.
And how long was it there for?
It was there for 10 years.
10 years, wow.
Yeah, it was just, and it was, everything that you learn in the beginning. Location is everything in retail. It was a terrible location. It was on a one-way street, no parking. Like, we were broken into 22 times. Like, my opening night, this is my favorite story in that if you want to figure out if you should be an entrepreneur, this is the litmus test. A year planning. It spent all of my money, inventory all there. We had a fashion show. I'm from Atlanta, so I just made everyone I knew come to this opening party. We're talking sales day still to date that we had. Fashion show, all my friends. I mean, as good as it gets, right? It's 3 a.m. I'm like, I think I might sleep for 2 hours tonight. I hadn't slept in years. Yeah. Go home and, fall asleep. Go in the next morning, 6 a.m, literally a couple hours. When I say been broken into, they stole everything. They stole the champagne out of the refrigerator. They stole my register. They stole my speakers. They stole all the clothing. All gone. And I'm just like, glass broken everywhere. The blood from where they jumped in. And I'm like, CSI, I'm sure that the police are going to come in. And I call my dad, who's been my mentor through this. I'm like, what happens now? He's like, shows up with a broom. He's like, here you go.
Yeah.
Like,
start over.
Start over tomorrow.
You lost the inventory, all that money.
Yeah.
Did you have money on the side to recoup?
There was not a penny left. So Monday, this is on a Sunday.
Do you have insurance or how does that work?
Oh, well, I have insurance. However, you're not reimbursed because the system didn't work properly. So when you hear a Monday, you think you're going to just get all that back. It doesn't work like the movies. They're like, we're really sorry, ma'am. Your security system wasn't on. And so I just sat there, and what I learned was the power of relationship, like the power of being good to people. Like I'd really been good to these vendors, and I called them all up. I'm like, this is Dana Spinola. Actually, Dana Williams at the time, wasn't married yet. And I said, this is going to sound crazy. Most of the things I propose are, would you allow me 30 days to resend me everything that you just sent me? And I will pay you back. And they're like, we don't know you. You don't have a store. You were open for one night, and then you were completely robbed, and you have nothing. Why? I'm like, you're going to have to take my word, and I promise you. So not only was I putting my word behind it, the marketing I did in 30 days to make sure I was going to pay these vendors back was insane. And it started who we are. I mean, we're grassroots marketing. We've never really paid for advertising in 15 years. It's always been word of mouth. Like every person, every story is what's important to us.
Okay, I want to talk about that piece too. But you say you got robbed 22 times?
Yeah.
In
it's my
10
favorite
years?
number. Yeah.
So this is like multiple times a year.
Yeah, sometimes twice a week.
And like every time this happens, like what's going on? Like you're
It's
falling,
tough.
you're going backwards.
You're going backwards, and you're trying to understand, with me and my faith, I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this?
Yeah.
Like, this feels wrong that
Right.
people keep coming and taking it. Just be like, people would walk in the middle of the day and just grab all my jeans, walk straight out. These big men that I'm not, I mean, my husband's like, please don't. I mean, I'm sprinting up the road.
Oh my God. And
Police officers are grabbing me like, you can't. And that's just, it isn't. But what I learned is there's a grit it forms in the way of, this is still right. I'm still hearing my customers saying, gosh, we need something like this. That's when women started asking, I want to open another store. I'd never planned on franchising. We've franchised from now on. We find women like me in other cities. I never planned on that. That was not part of the business model. But I started seeing people saying, God, we need this store in Raleigh. So the demand was so huge that I wasn't going to let that obvious,
That's
tap on the
called
wrist.
Persistence.
Yeah.
I mean, you never quit.
Never.
I mean, 22 times, being in that position every time, and you keep going backwards and backwards, like that takes a toll.
It takes a toll,
Yeah.
but the cool part, it also validates.
Yeah.
Right? And so, I mean, the things we were doing when we were putting in, there was something called the Blue Jean Bandits at that time. And I mean, I'm watching my video in my store, and we're talking huge guns in here to take all my jeans. And I'm just like, take the jeans, take the jeans.
So this was gunpoint.
Not on me. We were not in there. It was the middle of the night. But they were driving their cars through the front of the store and taking everything. You're watching it happen, and you're not going there. And, the police can't respond in time. So you're just like, all right, tomorrow's going to be a really
Did
crappy
anybody ever
day.
get caught?
Yes, they finally, years later, there was an old house across the street from our location that they found, and they found all the clothing at our tables, and we're like,
you got your inventory back?
Yeah, we got a little bit back. It was a little expired, but yeah, we got it back.
So going back to you got robbed, right?
Yeah.
Now you convinced them, hey, send me these clothes the first time.
Yeah.
Then you went on this crazy marketing spree. Explain that piece.
Yeah. One day I'm literally thinking, am I going to put on like a Big Bird costume and stand outside? Like I was thinking of everything. And that's when I started realizing, the people, who do I know? Who do I know
This is
that
before
will love
social
it?
media kind of blew up.
There's
so
no
this
social
is like,
media.
You're
No.
out there in the street just doing it.
You're just like,
Yeah.
hey, please stop. And what I did that, it's so cool to think back. I always knew people wanted to shop. They wanted to shop with alcohol. They wanted to meet people. We sold men and women's clothes at the time. We stopped carrying men's clothes because y'all don't shop enough. I'll get into that later. But we would have these parties, and I would call movie companies.
Yeah.
And they would give tickets out, and it was called The Rules of Attraction. It was a movie a long time ago. But before Match.com, I had like 100 guy friends and 100 girlfriends because I was going out at the time. It was kind of the lifestyle I was living. Had them all come. We took Polaroids of everybody, put them up on walls, and the girls would write their name and the guys, and two people got married from that night, like years later. But that was like old school, like in the boutique. Everybody's shopping, everyone's the experience. So my company then and now, same key, has always been about experience. Everyone's going to have a product. Everyone's going to have a great marketing pitch. But how do you experience our brand? So it was created from the need of, we got to get people in here enjoying this place.
Yeah. And I think that goes for a lot of businesses. It's all about the experience. You ever go into a Chick-fil-A and it's like, feels like a restaurant?
Right.
Food,
Right.
you know?
Right.
So
they come and grab your plate
Yeah.
and they're like, thank you for being here. What's your name?
yeah,
Yeah.
feels like home in there.
Yeah.
So during those 30 days, every day you were doing something different,
Yeah.
like marketing wise.
Yeah.
Did you finally sell everything that they lended
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. I mean, I
You recouped
paid
it?
everybody full and then I just start. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because remember, the location was so terrible. So everybody that came in, I mean, I was lucky if the first week if I saw 7 people. So
Yeah.
I had to make sure that there was going to be a sale and that person would go tell someone about it. So it couldn't just be I was selling to sell. I had to explain who I was, why we're here, and what my mission in life is, basically.
Right.
So they would, and everyone kept saying, this is the best kept secret, best kept secret. I'm like, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
You can't keep it a secret. Like, tell somebody. So what we started doing is the people that came in, I would say, hey, have a private party here.
In the store?
In the store, yeah. I'll close the store just for you, thinking no one's really going to be here anyways because I don't have any customers yet.
Yeah.
But closed it just for them. They came in, brought 10 friends, had a private sale, and all of a sudden it just started. We still do those,
Yeah.
and it's like an honor to be able, because it's how I shopped. I used to be like, guys, I'll get off at 6. Meet me at the store. We'll have a glass of wine and we'll shop. So it just started evolving into, and then we had all the law firms across the street. They're like, during lunch, we're going to have all of our lawyers come over and do a little party. I'm like, okay. And we would go into salons and bring racks of clothing. So it just was like, how do you meld with the companies around you and bring them what they need?
So that after that period of time, right? That was your first store.
Yep.
Then you decided to do a franchise.
I had another corporate owned store first because I wanted to make sure.
So you had 2 locations basically.
I had 2
but
locations.
You weren't like franchised out yet.
Nope.
You didn't even plan on doing that.
No,
This is
like that was, nothing against McDonald's, but to
Yeah.
me that was like a cookie cutter model,
Oh, yeah.
and I was so, the entrepreneur was like, this is mine, and the character and all of that, so I was really scared of that model.
I think, especially in the fashion business, right?
Right.
It would, because I think it'll feel as exclusive, I guess.
Right, and I love that we were mom and
Yeah.
pop, and we were, in Midtown, and so my next location was in Norcross, so it was outside of the city, and
Was
I'm
it
thinking,
the Forum?
yeah, the Forum.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I learned, I started understanding who my customer was. She was, going out dating, and then she would get married and move outside of the city.
Mm-hmm.
And so all my customers were literally calling like, we need one here, we need one here. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've always followed the demand. I've never said, oh, I wonder if that city needs it. I've
Yeah.
had they call themselves fabric addicts. They're like, you need to be here. So it's a great way to grow.
So then, after the second location, you were like, "Hey, this is what we
Yeah.
need to do. We need to franchise it." So
Well, I went in kicking and screaming about it
Yeah.
too because I was like, well, I don't live in Raleigh. How can I open a store there?
But how are people knowing about fabric
Shopping
out there?
there one time.
Just coming to Georgia, stopped into your store.
Yep, and they're like, we
and then-
have to have a place. Because remember, it was a little bit revolutionary at the time for a woman that you could go have that boutique experience like you were in Neiman's, and the price tag, like every day that first year, people were like, this says $42. Like, is something wrong? And I'm like, no. It was a little bit of a phenomenon.
Yeah.
You can get, there's Zara and H&M. There's really great high trend fashion, but the experience piece was just like, I don't understand. You're driving this to my house, or we were adding on brooches to jeans, and anything they would need, we would just try to answer their wish list. So it was kind of revolutionary. So when people started asking, like, can I open one?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know how that works. And my boyfriend / husband now was a lawyer, and I was like, can I write my own franchise agreement? Can I make it be that we keep the character in there? It's like, you can write it however you want. So I wrote my franchise disclosure
And
document.
what year did you decide to do that?
2006, I believe.
And how many years of business were you in for yourself?
I was in, I might be off on that year. I think I was in business for maybe 3 years. So
Okay.
it must have been a little bit earlier than
So
that.
now, like, okay, you got the store, you got the vision. Let's talk about the clothes. Like, are you, in the beginning, you said you would actually buy it from other vendors.
Right.
Right. But now you also design.
We design as well, but that's probably about 10%.
Okay.
So, the thing about the beginning, and I feel like this translates to everyone entrepreneur that's starting a business, I bought for me, like the things I liked, and I don't wear color. Like I wear black and white and, pretty much that's it. So I would call these vendors and I'm trying to order, t-shirts, and I'm like, I want black, white, and neutral. And they're like, are you opening an army supply store? So I realized I had to buy out for my girl, right? For the people in my store. And I feel like a lot of times in your business, you're like, this is my passion.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this how I want. And I learned pretty quickly that I needed to make sure that this business was for the world, not just my pet project per se.
You actually had a skill there because you knew what people wanted.
Yeah.
And you feel that. So, what makes fabric different? Is there like competitors or like?
Yeah, I mean there's a million, I'm sure. That I think what makes us a little different is there's a lot of 1 to 2 location boutiques. To have 40 plus and growing pretty quickly. There's not that many people in that space. Because it's hard to do. It's hard to keep character and personalization. We care a lot about our communities, and what we expect our stylists to do is way outside of any other stylist. The unique part is our core values. Dream is obviously the first one. We require our teams to dream. Like they have to put it on their calendar.
That's awesome.
Hustle, inspire. Like we've got to stay inspired. So we're always doing really amazing, wacky things to stay inspired. But wow. Wow and heart, but wow, we require every single day in our daily status. We have KPIs, we have stats, sales, but you have to wow.
Yeah.
You have to share the best wow of that day. And that can be anything from, you heard a customer's closet burnt down, their house burnt down, and you went over and restocked their closet. Or it's that, somebody, big time. And giving back of like someone came in and they just got a cancer diagnosis and you put everything on their hold rack in their bag. Like it's an actual call to action to wow somebody, and not always in a huge monetary way or just a note card slipped in a bag, or reminding a husband of an anniversary and bringing the stuff over to his office. Like every day in every single store, it's happening with almost every single customer, but we're shouting out one. So it's a KPI
cool.
for our company.
Yeah. And do you guys have do all the owners get together, have company retreats or anything like that?
I mean, we had it last week, and it was the Inspire conference, and we all got snowed in together. And when you have 80 women that love fashion and have insanely big hearts and are pretty passionate about what they're doing, it was pretty intense and pretty unbelievable.
Let's see. I got a lot of questions here.
I got some answers. We can.
What I was going to ask you, okay, you went through all of that from the robbery, I'm sure you felt like giving up at some point in there. What did you have really dark days where you just this business may not work?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I still do. Like, I don't know. You always have to be changing your definition of success. So I mean, just opening that one store was literally probably my biggest dream I've ever had. And now I look around and, there's more and we've grown, but that still was just the biggest dream. And once you kind of prove to yourself you can do that, the other stuff just kind of falls in place. But, I still have those challenging days where, when you start leading a company, what becomes challenging is, am I leading these people in the right direction? That is, am I creating a culture of everybody here that is something you're proud of, and that am I translating vision and all the things. When it's just you, it's really easy to say, I'm vibing, I get what I'm thinking, it all lives there.
A lot of people on your shoulders, almost a lot of pressure.
You need
to
do right by them. You have a responsibility. I mean, they're jumped into your dream, especially with a franchise owner. I mean, it's usually a woman like me who has kids and has left either corporate America or is coming back in the workplace, and they're putting everything into it, so you got to do right by them and enjoy the ride. I'm not just about the end all profit. It better be profitable, but did they love what they did? And that takes a lot of work.
That does. Can we talk about the grind?
Yeah.
So when you first started, you said you were working 70, 80 hours with your corporate job.
Right.
But when you went full time, what was your schedule like, or your daily?
God. I mean, what's crazy, and I'll answer that question and back up. I'm coming off a 2-month sabbatical because of how many hours I put in 15 years.
Gotta take that break.
I mean, it was like a forced break of like, I think my brain just stopped. Like a fuse literally blew.
Yeah.
Because I didn't. I was just like, I believe I'll sleep when I'm dead. And, everyone's like, that's dark and that's not like, we got one chance in this life. I'm pouring it all in all the time. So what happens is you need to learn how to pump the brakes. But I mean, I was full time all the time. I mean, my team, I had to give like digital detoxes to them. Like I'm about warning email. I'm about to go to town. Like they knew when I was on a flight.
Detached from the social media?
Yes. Like email, I had to email everything and give them that right. But I wouldn't do it myself. I would just say, you don't have to respond to this. That's the problem. When you love it that much, it can almost become an addiction. There are times, don't get me wrong, you need to. You are the mom or the dad of that business. It is your baby. You better be prepared to put everything in. Like, I'm not a balanced person. I've never really read a story or met someone that's changing the world that has this incredible balance, right? So you got to be excited about that grind. You got to be excited that at 9:00 at night, I tuck all 4 of my kids in. I've read 4 books, and I'm like, marketing plan for February. Here we come.
What time are you sleeping?
Yeah, like you got to get. Oh, me? I mean, I just started sleeping again, but I was a.
That wasn't even in my vocabulary.
Yeah, I was just like now when you look at my list, I'm like, I should drink water. I should sleep. I should probably like call my mom back. Like I'm going back to the basics because it gets so beautifully addicting, especially when you're seeing and feeling the growth, right? But it's important. It's important to do, and you've got to build.
That's probably burnout, though.
It is.
You're going so hard, and then you burnt, and then you just crash.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're smart about it, you'll put people around you that can say, "Hey, you need to pump the brakes earlier." Everyone just was like, "I guess she's the Terminator," and I'm telling you, I'm the Terminator. I can just, recreate myself and just, have another 24-hour day. And it caught up with me. The good news is 2 months, now I'm back, clear vision, and I'm just ready to do it again. My husband's really good at, and I know many people that are really good at adding those breaks in weekly. Like he's like, I'm going to the gym this morning.
They're
I don't
naturally
care.
balanced.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I can't go to the gym because then I could also work on this, and this. So if you don't take time for yourself a little bit, it just fuels you then. So I'm learning to add a little bit in so I love to go full speed.
What keeps you motivated and inspired, consistently?
Yeah.
I'm sure like sometimes you just feel like, drained.
Yeah.
But like, is there certain things you do to stay inspired, motivated?
Yeah. So, I mean, the coolest part to me, when I started this business, and, I make no excuses for it, I did it for myself.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a clothing store. I wanted free clothing. I wanted to pick out clothing. I wanted to go buy. I wanted every piece of it and open the first store, and that happened. And I mean, selfish or passion, I don't care what it is, but it was my motivator. And then, 7 years in, I have, a couple hundred other women in there trying to like ask me bigger questions like what are we doing with this company? And I'm in a bus in Africa on a mission trip, and I'm just sitting there going, I think there's got to be a different purpose in this company than just incredible jeans and high heels and people looking beautiful on the outside. So, I brought that back into our company, and we have an organization, my nonprofit's Free Fabric. So all of our customers have extra clothing, and my closet literally broke one day, and I'm just doing this isn't good, right? Like too much of a good thing. So we started Free Fabric, and we do free shopping sprees for women escaping sex trafficking. So our customers bring in the clothing. Then we go into safe houses, and we dress the women and spend time with them and do fashion shows with them. And it kind of just, makes the clothing kind of get a second chance back to life, and we get to spend time with these amazing women.
That's your nonprofit?
Yes, Free Fabric.
Okay, and then that's what do you do is you provide free shopping sprees for girls that need it.
Right.
I read it online, but I wanted to get to know more about it. So that's the process.
Yes, and what's so unbelievable about what I love about today, 2018, is when we put out volunteer opportunities, when we ask for clothing, waiting list of women that want to volunteer in these safe houses, and we're talking about driving down to the bluffs. Like there's nothing glamorous about the women, but our customers are like, give me an opportunity to to serve. And then when we ask for call for clothes, I mean, we're talking, I had to rent a warehouse the first time I sent an email out.
So I can donate clothes?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get on that list.
Yeah.
But it's women's clothes.
It's women's clothes.
So I got my wife and my sister, so they'll...
Yeah, grab some women's clothes. And we want it to be that clothing, like, this is the outfit when we go in there. These women are wearing to go get their daughter back, or to go to their court case, or to go on an interview. And so it's I mean, an outfit's, like, big to us. You know, my vision for my company is to make women feel beautiful inside and out, one piece of fabric at a time. And that's what I love about this piece of it, because profit's awesome and passion's awesome, and selfish motivation is key to keeping the engines going. But when you start getting that purpose piece in there, it's like that's why you don't, that's the extra hour.
Full circle, because you're already working on your passion day in, day out.
That's gonna
right
happen.
And then when you have the power to give back and do something good, that's incredible.
Yeah,
right?
And people come to work with us. I mean, a lot of women love clothing. Like, my husband always jokes, like, if the Cowboys were hiring, I would be like, please let
He's
me
a Dallas
work there.
fan?
Yeah, I don't know how that goes. Would you like me to leave?
No, I'm just kidding.
Our dog's name's Cowboy, put it that way. That's how big he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's like, man, you know, if I could own a Cowboys franchise all day long. So women do love clothing, but when they sit down with me or somebody in my company, the first thing they talk about is either free fabric or our clothing line, Asher, that I can tell you a little bit about. But the hearts are just awesome. They want to make sure that they can kind of have their passion and their purpose kind of in one place, which
that's actually
talks about
great how you
are.
kind of branch that off of because clothes is your passion.
Yeah.
And then you figured out,
Yeah.
you know, how to give back through
Yeah.
it. So that's awesome. The other charity, the fashion show.
Yeah.
Is that something different or the
Yes.
same thing?
So it all kind of ties together, and it's, I mean, my poor husband, he's like, what are we doing today? I'm like, we're gonna, like, we're starting an orphanage in Africa right now. He's like, can we do that tomorrow? Like, it's always something. But, you know, when you have something like fabric, and then you have all these women are like, what are we doing next? 3 years ago, I adopted a little girl from Ethiopia. Her name's Asher. And, you know, tough story, like a lot of them are. She was abandoned on the side of the road, you know, wrapped in blankets, wasn't supposed to be, you know, the amazing little girl that she is now. She's 4 now. And so we have a clothing line called Asher, and like you said, we design it, we make it, we, you know, try it on, we make sure it's for our quintessential customer. We sell that clothing line. The proceeds of that clothing line, Asher, that's sold in our store, go to orphan babies in Africa, in an orphanage that we work with there. So what I love about it, though, because I've got to make it personal, like with free fabric, you have a piece of clothing and you're going to meet these girls and you're dressing them and you're hearing their story. With Asher babies, each one of my stores is matched with a baby. So you know her name or his name, you know their story, you know where they were abandoned, and we are there in the time between when they were abandoned and they're adopted. So 40 plus babies have been adopted out through this year, and that's like, that's what, you know, why we do this. This is what we talk about at our conferences, and the profitability comes with it. It's one of those strange things. It's kind of the letting go of control of, you can get stuck in your P&Ls, or you can kind of look up and out and figure out, okay, wait a second, this taking care of your community may actually just bring people in to want to be part of it.
You and Sarah Blakely should team up. Like
we did.
Y'all did?
Yeah,
Where?
we just got together and had a fashion show, Fabric and Spanx. Yeah,
because she does a lot of like charity work
world
as well for women.
Yeah, she
know?
believes. I mean, we both have that belief of like, go give it a shot. You know, you can't really fail, and I got your back if not. Like, you know,
so
she's
what'd
great
y'all
at that.
do?
We did a huge fashion show on her rooftop, all the women of Atlanta. We just basically wanted to say the city's amazing. You can believe in your dreams. Like, look at what Sarah's done, and look what me and Fabric have done. We were just 2 girls, regular girls that were like, hey, I got an idea. Yeah, we are.
Are you going to have your charity fashion show again?
Yes.
Or was that only one time?
No, we do that annually, and we're just started the planning for that as well, too.
Because I want to come.
Okay, yeah, you'll have to come.
I got to come.
Yeah, I'll get you the date as soon as we secure it. We usually do it in the spring, and what's so awesome about it is we obviously debut spring, and it's a party, and it's fun, but the girls from Free Fabric walk at the end. So, you know, our whole idea of like, let's just really make you feel as beautiful as you can, hair, makeup, and it's actually an awesome party and an awesome time.
That's great. Okay, so, I want to get to know you, more on a personal level. So, who are like 3 people that inspire you?
Vogue magazine. It's not but
Yeah.
it was my mentor most of my life. I love Angelina Jolie. It has always been the idea that she can pursue her passion in acting. Adopting is no joke. I mean, it's like a heart. When I learned what's happening in this world, the idea that she can do that, and then in the side, United Nations, and argue in Congress, like that's the idea of an all-in woman to me, that's up for scrutiny, that can handle the naysayers and just kind of lives your life.
Yeah.
That's my kind of thing. And then, I mean, my mom and dad, poor guys, like, I can't pick one. When you meet these people, they just ooze that, like,
Parents,
come on,
given.
they're so good.
Yeah.
I mean, they got married when they were 18,
That's your
19
DNA.
years old. Yeah, they were
Right.
like kids. They had no idea what they were doing, and now they're married. I mean, that alone, just to have a 40-plus year happy marriage where they really do, like, show us that they.
You can give a shout out to mom and dad.
Mom, dad, good job. Glad y'all love each other. Yeah, I mean, because you get to the point when you're growing your business that you can't not look at the other, pieces. My mentor, I thought he was my business mentor. Well, he is my business mentor. First question, we sat down the first time we were meeting. He's like, "So how's your marriage?" And I'm like, "I thought we were talking about fabric." He's like, "Yeah, we are. Like, you got to make sure that you're keeping check with how you are as a friend and a wife and a mom and,
That's true, because, every time I argue with my wife, the next day I go to work, I can't focus.
You're a grouch. You can't focus and you're waiting and and you've got to have, I mean, that's your person. And if it all crumbled, if fabric crumbled, and I had my man, we could rebuild it together. But I don't want to mistake and, let anything happen to, I mean, marriage is probably the greatest investment you can make in all of it. So you got to keep your eye on it. And my husband's just as busy as I am. He travels all the time. So we're like ships in the night a lot. So we got to both make sure we're checking our, careers at the door.
It's only 24 hours in a day.
Right.
So you got to
I'm trying to change that. But
so if you're not sleeping, then okay. We got work and marriage, kids,
And you give, you always have time for the things you put first. I just love that idea because whatever you're going to put first. So we used to just try to, at the end of the day, be like, "Hey, babe, love you, sorry, give you nothing." And now we've moved that to the front of our day. We start the day together. It might be a 6-minute cup of coffee, but something that was like, "Hey, I see you. Good luck. Get on out there and change the world."
Who's your favorite designer?
Alexander McQueen. It's very dramatic. Alexander McQueen and then Calvin Klein. So if you can think about those, I'm a Gemini, which kind of explains it. Just crazy cool, dripping with high style is Alexander McQueen. Calvin Klein's just, perfectly black tailored suits. So just those combinations are me.
Have you met any famous designers?
No,
yourself,
I mean
or?
like Rachel Zoe and more like that. Alexander McQueen's left us and he's in heaven now. But no, I haven't really looked up. This is what we were talking about the other day. I haven't looked up from my grind in 15 years. I mean, no lie. And it's dangerous to do that because if you start just working too deep in your company, you forget to look back up and revision and get back out there, especially if you're the leader of your company. So, never had a PR firm, they just hired them and they're like, "We need you to go talk to people, to go out and not just sit in an office and design and create. We need you to actually kind of share what you're up to."
My sister-in-law works for Rachel Zoe.
Really?
Yeah. We went to go visit her. We kind of stopped by at the office, so it's kind of cool.
Bring me with you next time.
Are you a music fan?
Yeah.
What's one song that gets you pumped, motivated?
Oh my gosh.
Feels like you could do anything.
It's going to be hard to answer this, but right now, Justin Timberlake, Filthy. It's terrible.
I still haven't heard that one though.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen to it tonight. But I'm like, I've got 4 young kids, so Flow Rider's playing in my car all the time. Imagine Dragons, and so Game Time. I mean, I'm like rap and then Christian music. So
who's your favorite hip hop artist?
Oh gosh. I mean, I love them all. Like, I'm old school. Like,
okay, me too.
Okay.
I like the '90s and early 2000s era.
Yes,
Yeah.
like just Snoop,
Yeah.
all of them. Like those
Okay.
are my boys. Like I did hang with Snoop one night, and he is a very fun character, as you can imagine.
Here in Atlanta?
No, we were in Vegas.
Okay. What's your one piece of clothing or accessory you can't live without?
Oh, I've got a black leather coat that it was like the second thing I ever store. It's actually not even real leather. It's vegan leather. Vegan's a great way of saying like not real leather,
Yeah,
but
I like
it
that
is.
term.
It's worn and it's awesome. In my mind, I'm a motorcycle bike rider, as you can tell, and I've never got on one.
If you weren't in the fashion business, what would you be doing?
I would
If
probably
you-
be in
second
Africa.
passion.
I'd probably
Okay.
be in Africa with opening some orphanages and spending time over there. My husband and I spend a lot of time over there, and every time we get on the plane, we're like, we got to come back, we got to come back, we got to come
Yeah.
back. And every time we get back, we're like, we got to go back. So we pretty deep
Do y'all,
rooted heart
y'all
there.
travel back and forth there a lot?
Just 1 or 2 times a year. But we go for a little bit and bring the kids, and we have villages over there that, feel like home and that. So, but don't get me wrong, we love our lifestyle
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
And when you're there, I mean, there's no electricity, it's dirt floor. There's just something about the contrast that's so great. You come back here and you're like, every time I try to sell my car, he's like, babe, you need your car. Like, I'm going to give away my car and we can move. And he's like, we have 4 kids. You cannot get them to school on a bike. Like, what's happening? But no, it's a great, it just checks both ways, because you go there and you appreciate so much just, that you can go grab a bottle of water or whatever it is. So
Feel blessed. Sometimes I do take that for granted, but
yeah, all of us do. And
yeah.
I think that's, what my husband's so good at reminding me is I have a place here of responsibility of what we do for the communities over there. We go and teach small business classes and the babies that we're, so it is good to do your grind here and, funnel it where you want it to go.
This is part of the show when I want you to kind of give your best piece of advice. Like, you've accomplished a lot. You've grown a lot as a person, entrepreneur. What is your greatest piece of advice you can give to aspiring entrepreneurs out there that they can use in their journey?
So it's kind of a 2-part advice, because I think the younger version of myself, like, I'm just so thankful I jumped, I did it, I followed the dream. Chase the dream relentlessly. People are going to tell you it's wacky, and it probably is.
Yeah.
But if you can't shake it, you have to do it. And fail. Who cares? I mean, the idea of not doing it versus failing, like, I can't imagine what that would have looked like. I don't live with regret, so I can't imagine doing that, right? Now, I'd say in my 40s where I am, the advice that I don't even know if you can give to the person just starting out, but as you start to get your legs under you, make sure you're good to people. I mean, make sure you're good to people along the way, because you'll wake up on days and you cannot do it without everybody else.
Yeah.
You start to think it's about you a little bit, because you're like, look what I did. Mm-hmm. You didn't really do anything without the people, those vendors I was calling and saying, give me that. And, just stay humble as heck, because there's no guarantees about anything, but there is guarantees. If you're really good to people along the way, you have this whole net of people that's going to catch you. When you win, you mess up, or when you fall.
I was just talking to them about that. It's funny how, like, people back in high school, college, that you never think you would see them again. They can't come back around later in life. So glad I stayed nice to them. So
Exactly. I mean, it's the burning bridges idea, know, and the more and more people that, know my face and my name as I go out, it's awesome, because it holds you accountable. It's like, you're Dana from Fabric.
Yeah.
And so, I want to make sure that I actually say hello to you and who are you. And it's easy just to kind of grab your coffee and be like, I'm on the phone, give me my coffee, what's happening? Like, those moments between the moments, that's where you're going to meet your angel investor, or that's where you're going to meet your new COO. I mean, it's, starts as a stylist. Like, those are, my COO was a stylist one day when she first started, and just watching people, pouring into them so that you can have a plan that the business isn't all about you, but you're going to have to take time to stop, pour into people. When you have nothing to give, you've got to be able to actually pour into people. And you're like, this is crazy. I'm, working 100-hour days, but, I make sure I'm always mentoring 3 people at a time. And I always make sure I have 3 mentors. Like that advice was so vital that you have someone pouring
The
into
mentor
you.
part?
The mentor
Yeah.
part. Yeah.
I've actually, a lot of people told me that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so real because what I was doing for a while is saying yes to everybody that wanted me to mentor them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I just felt like, oh, I'm exhausted. You know, I'm just pouring out. But when you have other people that take their time, you know, I met with my mentor for a year, 4 hours, you know, every other Friday. He would stop what he was doing in his incredible, you know, career and just be there for me for 4 hours.
That's great.
And it's a responsibility to do it to somebody else, but to continue to have someone do it to you, or you'll just burn out.
And that's a lot of great information. This is actually the last question I've got. How do you want people to remember you as, and what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
I love that. I actually, part of the sabbatical that I took, I went on a silent retreat, which is really hard when you like to talk to people a lot. But 4 days, no talking, you know, just like in a monastery with monks walking around. And you're
Where
like,
was it at? Where'd you go?
Everyone's like, did you go to Thailand? I went to Conyers. There's a monastery of the Holy Spirit in Conyers, and just, you know, nothing dramatically amazing about the accommodations, a little, you know, single bed, and just stop talking to people and try to listen to my own thoughts. It was just so much noise in there, right?
Wow.
So I took that time and I wrote my eulogy. Like, I've been told my whole life to do that. I know. I mean,
Okay.
I swear I'm not dark. I love this life, but I also think that I, for a while, was thinking at the end of this, I doubt it's about how many stores I had, how many, you know, how much money I had, how any of that. Like, I feel like that resume has nothing to do with it. And I was like, I just hope that people, like, especially women, that's who I speak to, I challenge them to go chase their dream and to relentlessly follow it. Like the relentless part, because I can be like, yeah, you should do that. But like, I'm the person that texts you and is like, did you do it?
Yeah.
Did you do it? So I hope I'm remembered in a couple people's life that, you know, I'm doing that, and I'm doing that with the baby girls and the women in the sex trafficking, that, you know, there's big chances out there. And I think if you get sidetracked in your life, someone tells you that you can't.
Yeah.
A lot of people just, you know, jump off course. So I'm trying to get people back in, because I think all these people can change the world, and we need all of us, you know, going pretty strong on that. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
you're
Dana.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.